Hey there, my name is Zach. I'm the founder of the DIYgolfer.com, where my mission is to help you shoot your lowest score ever. In today's shot type series, we're talking about how to hit the draw. We're going to talk about what it is, when to hit it, when not to hit it, and some keys that I think about when trying to hit this in a controlled, powerful fashion. So you might have seen some tour pros hitting these nice big draws. Probably the most notable would be Rory McIlroy. I remember watching him at the US Open. I think it was his first victory ever, where he just lapped the field. And just remember watching him hit these beautiful little draws into all of those greens at Bethpage Black. It was just really a show, and it's something that I think a lot of us want to be able to do. So a draw, for those that don't know, I'm assuming many of you do, but a draw is going to be a shot that starts, if we're talking about a right-handed golfer, right of the target and ends on or near the target. Now, opposed to a hook, which is going to either start right of the target, left of the target, and end way left of the target with tons of curvature. A draw is a more controlled shot, something that you would see a tour pro playing. Now, the opposite shot of a draw is going to be the fade. I've got a video on that, as well as all the other different types of shots, so check out that link in the description. I think you'll find that useful. Now, a fade is going to be where it starts left of the target and fades to the right to the target. Now, the characteristics of the draw is it's going to have that right to left spin, which naturally is going to roll out just a little bit more than a fade, which is going to kind of stop when it hits the ground. And so for that reason, you generally associate the draw with a little bit further shot, a little bit more powerful shot, and is why many golfers strive to hit this type of golf shot. Now, the question is, when do you hit the draw? When is a good time, when is not? Now, in this scenario, I've got about 147 yards. That's a pretty solid pitching wedge for me. It's a little bit uphill. And the pin is slightly left of center. And generally, when I'm going to hit a draw is when either off the tee, when it's a dogleg left, kind of fits that hole shape a little bit to hit a draw. Or if it's just my natural shot, we'll talk about that in a second. And then I also like hitting draws when the pin is on the left of the green. And the reason behind that is because if I walk up and I aim at the middle of the green and I try to draw it to the pin on the left and I miss that shot and it goes straight or maybe even goes a little bit right, well, guess what? I'm still going to land on the green and have a putt. Now, if I tried to fade it to that left pin and start it left of the green and fade it onto the green, if I miss that shot, then I'm going to be left of the green short-sided, not a lot of green to work with when I'm chipping, and I'm going to probably make bogey or even worse. Now, there's a couple scenarios where a draw is probably not a great choice. Now, a draw is not going to be a great choice if the pin is on the right, because like I just said with the fade, we're going to end up, if we miss it, right of the green. Another example, I've got a little bit of a side slope here, but if the ball is severely below your feet and you have to really reach down and get it, you're just not going to be able to hit a draw very easily with that. So that's another scenario where you're not going to be able to hit a draw very well. And then finally, before we get into actually learning how to hit this, I want to talk about what causes a draw and one misconception that I see pretty often. So when we talk about shaping the golf ball is going to start where the club face is pointed. If we look at the data from the Garmin R10 or other launch monitors, it's going to show you that the majority of the starting direction of the ball is based on where that face is pointed. So that means that if I want to hit a draw to this pin, I'm going to aim the club face to the right of the hole about 5 yards at that tree in the distance, and then I'm going to close my stance a little bit to that club face and swing along that body line. Now, that's not all there is to it. It's a little bit more complicated than just setting up, as many YouTube videos would lead you to believe, but we'll get into that in just a second. And then one misconception that I see pretty often when we're talking about draws is that to hit a draw, you have to have a really strong grip, okay? And if you haven't seen my grip video, you can check that out. I'll try to leave a link to that. But a strong grip is going to be where this little snuff box on your wrist is pointed to the right, if you're a right-handed golfer, of that grip. And it's going to kind of look like this. Now, this is pretty exaggerated, but this would be a strong grip. And many golfers associate that strong grip with a draw, and that couldn't be further from the truth. The grip really has nothing to do with it. You can hit big fades with that grip, and Dustin Johnson is a great example of that. He's got a very strong grip. He even bows his left wrist more than most golfers and still manages to hit a fade pretty much on every shot. All right, so enough with all the theory. Let's talk about how to actually hit this draw. Now, I want to talk about your natural shot shape as a starting point, because similar to the fade video that I made, I talked about how lots of times you're going to hear golf instructors or YouTube instructors say that all you need to do to hit the fade, it's really easy. Just set up, club face right of the pin, close your stance, and swing along that body line. Okay, well, I have news for you. If you do not hit a natural draw or a natural even hook, then doing that is not going to be near sufficient, and you're not going to be able to hit this draw. The reality of this is I played competitive golf for several years, like almost 10 years. And it took me like 3 or 4 years, and I was practicing on a daily basis before I really figured out how to hit a repeatable, controllable draw. Now, I could hit a hook, but the question of how do I start that draw and hit it high and land it in there soft enough to actually play it took me years to figure this out. And what helped me the most was focusing on the transition move. Okay, so when we talk about this over-the-top move, which is going to promote more of a fade or a slice even, what I like to think about is this transition move where we bump the hips and we slowly let the body start bringing those hands down and deliver that inside to out club path. Now, ultimately, you're not going to be able to hit the draw if you don't really have that inside to out club path that we talk about so much. But what I want to talk about is the release, because when we talk about shot shaping, hitting fades and draws, the magic is really in the release. And when we hit a draw, we want a full release, so a horizontal hinging, as you might read about in the golfing machine, where if we imagine a plane, the swing plane that we're on, and there's like a sheet of glass, this club face is going to be flush with that sheet of glass, as opposed to the horizontal or the angled hinging, where the club face is perpendicular to that path, and that's more characteristic of a fade shot. So we want to get that full release and come from the inside. And like I said, you're not going to want to hear it, but you just are not going to be able to do this in just a couple of shots, no matter what anyone tells you. So if you really want to learn how to hit the draw, some things that I would check out would be some of the drill videos that I've made, so the medicine ball drill, and then also just put this club across your chest and practice turning and bumping that hip and really staying in the shot, hitting up against this left leg, what I consider a strong post to hit against. And when we do that, what's going to happen is it's going to keep that club kind of behind us to come from the inside. And then we're just thinking about a full release like this, you know, high finish like that, and you should be able to hit a draw a little bit easier. So I'm going to try to demonstrate this, and I'm going to do one shot a little bit weird, where I'm going to aim my body left of the target and still hit a draw that starts right of the target. And that is simply to prove that your setup is not the only thing that matters when we're hitting this draw shot, like many videos might lead you to believe. So I've got the Garmin R10 behind me. We'll see how this turns out. What I'm going to do is aim my club face where I want the ball to start, as I would always recommend. And then in this case, I'm going to open my stance, okay, which makes zero sense for a draw. I don't recommend this, just for demonstration. And then I'm going to focus on coming from the inside and releasing and see if we can hit a draw with an open stance. Okay, so that ball drew about 3 yards. It started a little bit left, unfortunately. Didn't quite pull it off entirely. But hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit of leeway in your mind to know that the setup is not the sole determinant of whether you're going to hit that draw. Now let's talk about, I got another ball. Let's talk about actually hitting a draw the correct way, how I would recommend it. All right, so to properly hit the draw, what I'm going to do is I'm first going to set up and aim my club face exactly where I want to start the ball, which is about 5 yards right of that pin up there. And then what I want to do is kind of close my stance just a little bit relative to that club face. So you don't have to be exact. Most of this is going to be just intuition, years of practice and understanding how your ball behaves out there on the course. So there's no magic bullet here, but we're going to set up roughly like that. And then what I'm thinking about is not necessarily swinging around my body line, but more so focusing on the image of that draw and where I want it to start and end, as well as that full kind of in to out release. Okay, so that's kind of the image that I have in my head, and that's all I'm thinking about. We'll give it a shot. That might be too far. Nope, that's all right. So that was a little bit left to the pin. I started it a little bit too far left, but it was a nice little 3-yard draw. Like I said, be patient with this. It is not easy to take a golf swing that, maybe you're hitting big slices right now. It's just not realistic to think that overnight you're gonna walk out and all of a sudden start to hit nice draws. Learning how to hit a draw was a lifelong project for me. It was something that took me years to really hone my swing and my body movements, transition, ground pressures. All of this stuff had to come together for me to hit a draw, since my natural shot shape was a fade. But if you're trying to hit it a little bit more, the keys here that I'm going to remind you of is club face, where you want it to start, stance a little bit close to that, and then you're going to swing and think about, really that transition coming from the inside in a full release, okay, a full release through the ball, and that should help you out just a little bit when hitting a draw. If you liked this video, I've got other shot type videos you can check out. There's a link in the description on my site. I've got all of these organized, so you can check out all those different shot types. And if you like this video, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, and until next time, we'll see you later. Hit 'em straight.